He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch the outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. I'm Jay Lee, and I'm a little bit under the weather because I went to a men's retreat and I played a lot of sports and I shouted and lost my voice. I'm the founder of Sales Ninja, and if you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, you're definitely in the right place. Here, we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics. That's the heart of the reverse glass selling framework, a kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Because when you lead with value, sales becomes effortless. And when you sell more, you can give more. Today's guest is someone who has built, sold, and rebuilt success on his own terms. He's an entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's an author. He's a dad of 4 and a self-proclaimed health nerd who spends his time studying how to actually live a good life. After selling his multi-7-figure coaching company, he made a decision most founders never do. He chose to build businesses he genuinely enjoys running, businesses that create freedom, peace, and fun instead of pressure and chaos. He is now the force behind Rainmakers, the growth engine powering some of the world's top online coaches. He invests across wellness, property, and personal development, splits his time between Australia and Bali, and speaks openly about business, fatherhood, fulfillment, and what real success looks like. Please welcome Chris Dufey. Welcome, Chris, to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thank you, Jay. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for spending your early morning in Australia to be with me today.
My pleasure. It's all good.
Awesome. So welcome. And I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, just deep dive right in. I love your background. And I think some, Ty Lopez, Dan Martell, some of these great, 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs, they like to, and I think Rachel Peterson does this as well. You have a color code of books. How did you sort that? This is a random question, but that's just the icebreaker. How do you sort those books and what's behind there?
This is just a lot of the books that I have. And when I kind of just put the bookshelf up, I think maybe a little bit of OCD started to come out.
Okay.
I just color coded them together rather than kind of putting them in any other way. Just so, I don't know, to my eyes, it fits and kind of I can have it sorted, somewhat aesthetically for me as well. But it's interesting because I kind of, if a book comes to mind, I kind of know where it is. So therefore I can pluck it out nice and quickly.
Amazing. So walk us through some of the early days. I mean, were you always an entrepreneur? Did your family own businesses? Did you start lemonade at a lemonade stand or selling candy and marking it up? How did that all happen?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I was a born entrepreneur, if I could be perfectly honest. Both my parents were 17 when I was born, so I grew up in a family where we didn't have a lot of money. I saw my parents have second jobs, and I grew up, and this is me looking backwards, connecting dots, but I grew up seeing that money was the thing that would bring a happy life because I lived a great life. My parents did amazing, but I saw them struggle. I saw them work hard. I saw us lack things compared to what others have. When I finished school, I got a job, got a 9-to-5 job, very quickly realized I was just not cut of the cloth to be able to do that. Then became a personal trainer at the age of 18, and then started running my own business as a personal trainer from 18. Did that for a bunch of years, grew a personal training agency across Sydney, Australia. Then I got the opportunity and actually moved to Dubai to run a fitness business. So I lived and worked in Dubai for 2 years, running a fitness business, and that was from 2012. I then started my online fitness business in 2013, which then we decided to leave Dubai. We moved to Bali, and I was running my full-time online business back in from 2014 then. So then it was like, all right, I was doing online personal training back in the day. I was selling a $7.95 women's fat loss ebook, the first thing I ever sold online.
Wow.
So this is kind of like going back into the time machine. And then that fitness business morphed into me actually getting into business coaching, because I had so many trainers coming to me being like, hey, I knew you were a personal trainer in Sydney, and then I saw you doing it in Dubai, and now you're online, like living in Bali. Like, how the hell did you do that? Mm-hmm. And I just naturally had a bunch of trainers coming to me, and I really fell in love. To be honest, Jay, I fell in love with business more than fitness. Like, I still very much love fitness. It's a part of what I do and a value of mine. But I really started to enjoy the game of business and what that was, and being able to help people in that avenue. Because helping, like, if I go back again, it was a case of I was really overweight as a kid. I learned to get in shape, and I wanted to help people be able to get in shape. I then ran a really crappy personal training business. I learned to run a good personal training. I helped other people be able to go through that. And then kind of like my recent kind of like doing evolution again was I wasn't super happy as like a man as my life and what I was doing. I then being able to learn to love myself, create a life that I truly love, have like freedom for both from outside and inside, and then being able to help people do that. So essentially, like, the common thread's always been like, I've sucked at something and I've had to figure out a solution, and I've wanted to help others be able to like have that solution faster. But then it was being able to go from, when moving to Bali, I had the online fitness business, I had a supplement company, and then I started business coaching. And then very thankfully I had a mentor be like, dude, you can only do one thing. Like, you've got to choose which one. So I burned to the ground the supplement company and the online fitness business, and I went head into the business coaching side of things. That eventually turned into the company that I sold a little while ago. Sold that online coaching company, then did consulting for a bit over a year, where essentially I was just consulting and kind of working as a chief marketing officer, chief revenue officer for 7, 8, 9-figure info businesses. And then I recently started my new company, We Are the Rainmakers, because I could see a massive gap in the market, and I could see what it is that I kind of like wanted to do in kind of like my little next chapter. So hopefully that's in a nutshell kind of like the trajectory of kind of how I've gotten here.
Incredible. What a great intro. What a great story. It's hard to even imagine that you were overweight as a kid, and I can't imagine what you went through in terms of emotional, physical, and mental. Was there a lot of like being? Was there a lot of discrimination?
Yeah, like, I've had a lot of suicidal ideation throughout my life. I've been clinically diagnosed with depression before. So it's certainly not been all sunshines and rainbows. Don't give me that. But you know what? I look back and I definitely have the belief, and I have the lens in which I look at it. And I'm really grateful for everything that I've gone through. It has forged the man that I am today and the person that I get to show up today and be able to do it. I don't look at hard times being bad. I think a lot of people just think hard equals bad, and that's actually something I do not believe in necessarily. So there is the case of, yeah, I was really overweight. It led to bad things, bullying and just me not liking myself, like generally inside, that's just like not liking myself and the experience of life that I was actually having, but that also was the pain for me to be able to do what I needed to do to come out the other side of that.
So do you think that that experience of that pain helped you kind of have the personality traits and the work ethic to be where you are today?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and that's the thing is like people look at me today and be like, "Oh wow, Chris, like you're in great physical shape," for example, or like, "Wow, you're so successful in business," and it's like, yes, thank you, but also it comes from pain. Like the initial driver was, do you know what I mean, to get out of serious pain. So I think a big part of it is when looking back, being able to be like, it's okay to do that. Like, yes, I have to get out of this pain. Like, this is just like, I'm just like hating life, hating myself. What the hell do I do so that isn't the case? And you go through this evolution, you go through this journey, you better yourself, you show up, you do the work that you need to be able to do. And like, I wrote a post a little while ago, and it was interesting because I then got interviewed on a bunch of podcasts because of it, which was essentially, I said, identity eats discipline for breakfast. And I think a lot of people think that it's all about discipline, and it is. Like, discipline is a trait, it's a characteristic that you need to be able to build within yourself, but that's not the end goal. The end goal is actually the identity. And what I mean by that is you are naturally going to show up and do the things that you need to do because that is just who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, winners win, like coaches coach, artists, do you know what I mean, create art. Like, if you are trying to grit your teeth and do something for too long, or essentially, like, let's put it into a business context right now. If you're trying to run a business and you're trying to do something in your business and it's just not you, it's just not your fabric, it's just not that correct alignment with who you are, then there will be issues, there will be friction. And there's also the case of, you do need to understand that you need to evolve yourself in certain areas as well. So there's the case of being able to, like, okay, like, what is it that I need to do so that I naturally become the person I need to become to be able to achieve and have what it is that I want to have. For example, like, I think of what the Buddha said, and he was like, when emptiness and compassion arise, enlightenment is unavoidable. And I find that a really interesting phrase. It's a very ballsy thing that the Buddha is saying right there, because he's saying, when you have these two ingredients, the thing that is like, do you mean what many would think would be like the ultimate thing in life, enlightenment, is unavoidable. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a ballsy claim, right? And then I think of the case of, okay, well, if I take that and I put it into a business context, for example, what are the ingredients? What has to be there so that the success you have, the money you earn, the life that you want to live, all of these things becomes unavoidable? I might not be able to control time necessarily and how quickly you're going to be able to get it, but you will get there. And that's something that I find like interesting to being able to, for myself, and then obviously with the people that I work with also.
That's amazing. I can't imagine, like, just that whole journey, from being that overweight kid, how you said your parents had you when you were 17?
Yeah, when they were 17, correct.
And they had to work multiple jobs, and you guys didn't have a lot of money. How does that affect you? Because did you say that earlier in the podcast that you thought maybe money was a solution? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I totally grew up being like, we lacked money, and therefore there was pain from that, and there was a gap between where I was, where we were, where we wanted to go, and money was, I perceived as the story, that money was the thing that was going to solve that. So that is no doubt in my mind why I have done the things that I've done, like doing, like, subconsciously, to be able to create financial success and freedom and independence, because there was that belief that that was a key thing in life.
Tell me a story, if you can go back into the time machine of, like, maybe when your young parents, were working multiple jobs and you couldn't get, whether it was a toy or a certain pair of shoes, or other friends had different things that were like, man, I wish I could have that, but I can't. And when I grow up, I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, I think there was really clearly multiple times, but me asking for money to be able to go and do things and go do things with friends, and my parents just simply being like, no. And my parents have said to me as well, like, yeah, like we never gave you anything. And like, wow, look at what you've done and become. And that's the thing. My parents are amazing. I have such an incredible relationship with them, and I love them. And like they were so young when I come through. So I have a level of, especially as a father of 4 daughters now, like I have such compassion and empathy for what my parents had to go through to be here. I'm extremely grateful and thankful for them. Like I'm so thankful of absolutely everything. There's not one thing that I would change from any of it.
That's interesting, because there's people who may be in your shoes that have gone through that would have regret and wish that their parents were in a better spot, and have, some bad taste in their mouth of saying, because of my parents, X, Y, Z. Like you have a completely different vantage point.
Yeah, well, that can be said for anything in any position in life. Perspective is everything. Do you mean like it's my favorite quote from Pablo Picasso is, the universe is not made of atoms, it's made of stories. We are simply just creating stories of how our life is, who we are, what we do. Like I woke up this morning, you woke up this morning, the listener woke up this morning. We told ourselves a story of who we are. Do you mean how we show up, how we dress, how we speak, what we speak about, what we think? Like we're just a storytelling machine trying to make meaning of what is going on. And there is an element of freedom that comes about when you realize that you're able to take authorship of that story and to start to craft it as well.
When you were we're talking about startup challenges and scaling strategies, because you're the Rainmaker. When you were scaling and growing your coaching company, what actually moved the needle or the revenue the fastest did you observe?
With the company that I sold? I'll answer that bringing everything that I've learned together.
Okay.
So for example, I built and sold that company. When I then did consulting, when I sold that company, it was really interesting, and I learned so much going through that process. So imagine I'm sitting at my computer. I had the last Zoom call from selling the business. I'm literally saying goodbye, thanks, getting kicked out of all the software platforms like Slack, the project management system.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Like saying goodbye, and then I click end Zoom, right? And then that's it. I'm 100% out of the company. It's completely done and dusted. Deal's done, right? I then stand up from my desk. I went down to a beach club, met my wife, to like celebrate. I had sparkling water sitting on a beach in Bali. Was there for about half an hour, and I'm like, I'm bored. I want to get back going. I knew what I wanted to do after, right? And so, because from the time of me signing the LOI to actually completely exiting the business was only 5 weeks. I was able to do it really quickly and was able to get great terms on what I wanted. And I knew what I wanted to do in the next. And I said to myself, I want to be one of the world's best when it comes to helping coaches and experts being able to grow their businesses.
Wow.
And the reason why I started this company now partially was because of a Kanye West quote, which is, every artist needs a CEO. And my interpretation of that quote is, the artists, which are essentially my clients, the people that I work with, my partners, they are the people that have the gift to share with the world. They're on the stage. They've got their gift to be able to share, and it's across all different niches and offers. But someone's got to be able to sell tickets to the show, set up the chairs, run the back of the house, be pouring the drinks. Like someone has to essentially make sure that the business is running. And I was like, well, that's my skill set. My skill set I'm really good at is being able to scale sales and operations. And so I'm had the epiphany of like, if I want to become the world's best, I simply just looked back at it and was like, well, what have I done to become really good at whatever I've done so far. And it's simply putting in the reps. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to have to put in the reps of being able to work with people. And so I counted through Google Calendar over 720 hours of consulting, doing 6, 7, and 8, 9-figure info businesses.
Wow.
And I just got razor sharp on being able to jump onto a call with someone and to be able to go through a process of like diagnosing what their actual choke point was, being able to implement a plan of what it is that they needed to be able to do. And interestingly, Jay, as well, the majority of the time I'll have a business owner jump on a call with me and they'll be like, hey, Chris, I think my problem is this. This is what I want to achieve. And we start going down the rabbit hole. It can take 2 to 5 minutes. And I'll be like, actually, you think your problem's over there, your real problem's over there. And if we solve that thing, it's going to solve a plethora of other things before that and make your life a ton easier. And so that's where it was a case of like having to go through the reps, but being able to get really good at that stuff and then being able to systemize everything that I learned from that process. And then now being able to have the team for us to be able to implement that from now. But that's just been an interesting navigation of what is actually best going to help someone scale, especially if like sales in their businesses as we go through that process.
How does you worked a lot of hours, you put a lot of consulting, reps, like you mentioned, to become razor sharp, to become, the ultimate rainmaker. You have a lot of girls in the family, your wife, 4 girls. What have you learned from them in life and in person that has helped you in business? And how do you find the time between working and you love your work and being able to spend time with your family? So that's kind of a 2-ended question. What have you learned from all these ladies in your life? And number 2, how do you take that into your business practice?
Yeah, great question. Having 4 daughters, I have learned and evolved a level of softness and understanding of the feminine and being able to be the man that is best able to be grounded and to be able to provide and protect for them, which has been interesting because there is a level of softness that has been able to come through me from this amazing experience of being a father of 4 daughters. But also with that softness, it had this tremendous effect of creating this other side where it's almost like my masculine side was able to strengthen so much more because of it. And it was almost because the polarity got so good. I don't know what it is. It could just be called maturing, if I could be perfectly honest. Maybe there's just a couple of extra gray hairs in my beard now. But there is a level of groundedness and certainty and peace that I have in business and in life right now that I've never felt before. And it's just been extremely interesting how business problems will come up, will arise, and I'll be able to have a sense of equanimity and peace and strength to be able to just move through it so much easier. Like it just doesn't rattle me like it used to. And it's profound because then there's also a level of patience. Like one thing that I'll have a lot of partners or clients say to me is like, wow, Chris, you act really quickly. Like I will execute so much goddamn faster than so many people. But there's also times where I now can be like, you know what? I'm going to lean back. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to sit. I'm going to purposely actually sit back for 15 minutes right now and just let something pick up. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. For half an hour and just to kind of see, I'm going to, this decision, I just brought on a new COO very, very recently. And I was like, I'm going to just sleep on it for a couple of nights and see what's happening. I had a bunch of interviews of the candidates, had amazing candidates come through, came down to these top 2. And I was like, how do I best choose? Decide? And I was like, I'm just going to give myself a couple of days. Where before I would have just been like, all right, I'm choosing, let's go. And just kind of ramming my head through. There's a sense of I don't know. Yeah. Equanimity is probably the word that I've come to the best describe it.
Wow. Let's talk about some sales strategies and scaling strategies. And I want to return back to some of your family stuff. And then there's a lightning round. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions just to kind of see what your reaction is as a elite athlete and leader. When you think about Rainmaker, I mean, I love the name. I love your superpower. And I've seen, just through your story and heard through your story, the transformation that you've gone through and the way that you transform so many companies that are, 7, 8, 9 figures. What does Rainmaker do differently when it comes to growth engines and scaling sales and ops, which is your superpower?
We only do what's needed to do to get the result. There is a level of simplicity that I think is one of the most important factors for business. So let me expand on that.
Yeah.
What is business? Business at the end of the day is being able to profitably solve problems, if I had to nut it down, right? So therefore, because a lot of people will think problems is a problem. They have a problem with having problems. And that is an issue, because I used to have that as well. And also, if you think that building and selling business, making a bunch of money is just going to get rid of all your problems, that's not the case, right? Like, you'll always have problems.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That's a part of life. And that's the game of business as well. So we need to profitably solve problems. So we need to run forward to and accept and embrace problems as they come into the business, rather than kind of getting shaken and getting worried and stressing and all the negative things that come from it. That simple pivot mentally will do profound things in someone's business when they're able to actually come to their business doing with that strength and perspective. Then the process of, let's say, scaling sales, right, is I'll try and make this super practical for everyone, which is the case is, let's say I've got my sales team, or I've got a sales team with any of my partners' businesses. Now, when I put my marketing hat on, it's my job to turn those sales reps into bears with salmon jumping in their mouth. Right? So my marketing is so good that it is throwing salmon down this bear's mouth. And so I'm making the job for the salesperson as easy as possible. And so if we think of acquisition, there is the process of I've got to get someone that doesn't know me to know me. I need to then build what I think is, and what I term as, the most important currency, which is trust. So I need to build trust in the perspective, because that's going to then help a buying decision be made. And then I need to engineer a set of steps that will put them through a process to then make a buying decision, right? And then I need to profitably be able to create a flywheel effect, so that effectively, and this is what I say to, let's say, a client that first comes up, I'm like, hey, all I'm actually doing right here to start off with is we're creating a system and a machine. Just think of a machine. This is what we're going to create, right? This is all your sales and marketing, ads and content, and all the stuff that we need to build out to make sure that this works. From that, what we do is we get a little bit of money. Let's say we get $10, right? You put it at the start of the machine. And then at the end of the machine, we end up with a client, and we end up with profit. Let's say $100 from that. I go, great. Let's say, Jay, I've just built this machine for you. What I do is I say, hey, you just put $10 in, take 80 of that bucks, put it in your back pocket and go enjoy yourself. But that 20, I want you to put at the start of the machine again. And now we scale sales, right? And so Sharan Srivatsa, which is now the president of acquisition.com, he's been a really great mentor and friend of mine for years. And he's one of the most remarkable people in my life. And I think walking this earth, to be honest.
Wow.
But he did something so brilliantly for me one day. He just defined scale, right? A lot of people use the word scale, and I think it just gets it's completely started to lose its meaning, but it's predictable growth at the end of the day. And that's where all we want to be able to do is create some predictability behind how do we get someone to know us that doesn't know us? How do we build trust and nurture that person? How do we have a sales process that's going to walk them through to making a buying decision when they're a right fit? And then ultimately, how do we get them amazing experience and results as a client and increase their lifetime value and do all that good stuff from there?
Wow. Incredible experiences, incredible mentors. I love the practicality. I love how you said, if you can, when you can build that marketing where you can throw salmon down a bear's mouth, that visual was like very, very powerful. So I really appreciate that. When you're talking about scaling, I think of leadership and system. Well, how do you build a scalable system that is supported by leadership that can actually sustain and thrive? Does that make sense? So there's a lot of leaders who call themselves leaders but are very manipulative, abusive, very like top down. How do you scale sales and build a leadership team um, that is healthy? Does that make sense? Maybe that's a tough word, but healthy leadership and a healthy leadership environment.
Yeah. So I'll let me take it and run with it. I think I look at it differently.
Okay.
Where for me, leadership, all right, I'm got a bunch of people and I'm leading them down a garden path. For me, leaders create leaders. And so my belief is I don't build businesses, I build the people that build the businesses. Right. And so I essentially want team and systems to be the thing that is able to operate. Now, I might call it the alien abduction plan, right? So I've got in my company an alien abduction plan. Well, what the hell is that, Chris? Well, let's say I get abducted by aliens tonight. Is my company able to continue to run without any glitch, without any changes, and everything's great? The way that I see it as the founder and CEO of the business, it is my duty to provide and protect for my team members, which means if I get hit by a bus, if I get abducted by aliens, that everything will continue on because they have families to provide for as well. So I don't take that responsibility lightly when it comes to that. And so it's about taking myself out of it from an ego perspective and being like, okay, well, how does this best work without me? Now, does that mean that I've got to be gone forever? No, that's not the case. Typically, I kind of like the 30-day Mexico test, which is, can you go to Mexico and just eat guacamole and be barefooted for 30 days and your business is still able to grow, right? Because if you're not able to do that, you're continuing, in many cases, you're continuing just to dig yourself into a deeper grave because everything is dependent upon yourself. And I don't want that because that's not freedom to me. Like, I think one of the core values that I have, and I think I'd like to mean possibly with yourself and listeners and business owners and entrepreneurs, and why we got into this is because, well, we want freedom. Well, what is freedom at the end of the day, right? And that's where I'll define that. I'll kind of like split that atom into two. And so I took this off a German philosopher, Steiner, which was, there is freedom like DOM with the word, right? And that is essentially, that is the freedom with outside circumstances. So I've got the ability to do the things I want to do in the outside world. I've got the money, I've got the time freedom, I've got those abilities. But then there is Freiheit, H-E-I-T, right? The freedom, which is internal freedom. This is the freedom that I have internally. It's the peace, it's the solace that I have within how I operate in life. And there are still a lot of people, and I've seen, they might have outside freedom, but they don't have inside freedom. And that's not freedom at all, because then they're still trapped in a prison. They're still not having the actual feelings that they want, because they thought, well, when I'm making $6 million a year, when I have this car, when I have all of these things, we are all doing it to ultimately have a feeling at the end of the day. We want to feel good. We want to feel free. We want to feel safe. And there is also the ability to feel those things without having to have the external world give you those things, which ultimately never will. Because the number one rule is everything changes. And so with everything changes, everything will go away, right? And the knowing of impermanence and understanding impermanence and coming to peace with impermanence then allows you to have a sense of lightness to then be able to make the decisions that you want to do, what you want to do from there.
Amazing. You talked about internal and external freedom, and the inside freedom is, the outside circumstances that people think are freedom can be like just this smokes and mirrors show where they're actually trapped and they're on a hamster wheel trading time for dollars for time, is where, you know, the internal freedom can really give you that real freedom to be at peace and have the time and the finance that you need. I love your abducted by aliens analogy, because that makes a lot of sense. Can your business run without you? When you talk about scaling sales and you have a high ticket offer, how do you, let's say you have a sales team of like, you know, 10 reps. How do you approach sales in a way that feels aligned rather than aggressive or pushy or salesy?
I think first it's what's the culture of the company and the organization first.
Yeah.
So doing like depending on what the offer is, and because like what's the energy, the vibe, the culture of that actual business will depend on what's actually going on and if the reps are a good fit. Then there is, well, from the sales rep's point of view, what's their incentive? Show me the incentive and I'll show you the result. So then I'll always come back to and think of, well, what's the incentive or what's going on right now? What are they wanting? And then typically as well, like I have an SDR team member right now, and she's 18 and she is so goddamn good. I love and adore her. She's fantastic. Like 18-year-old crushing it in an SDR role. And she's showing up, she's doing fantastic. She's improving day by day. And so for me, I'm wanting to create the environment, do you know what I mean? Like the soil for her and for any team member to be able to best prosper. But then I also very much think it's, are we in alignment with why the hell we're doing this as well? And so for me, like on a very practical thing, like I created something I call the Rainmakers Manifesto. And it's simply an outline, it's a guide, it's a short essay that is just why we do what we do as a company. And the beauty of it is, it sells it sells me, it sells the team members into what it is that we're doing. So we're all aligned. Like we're actually like, and I don't take it lightly. Like a client just isn't a client that just pays, do you know what I mean, on a monthly basis and there's money that drops into the bank account. Do you know what I mean? They are a real living person with fears, desires, pains, sufferings, goals, dreams, do you know what I mean, family, like all of those things. And so we need to best show up to be able to help them. And because with sales, like sales is about love on two sides. Because if I think about it, if we're having a sales conversation and you're wanting to join my program, Jay, if I love you enough, right, I'm going to ask the harder questions. If you start to be like, oh, you know what, Chris, just let me think about it, right? I'm not going to, okay, Jay, shit, okay, go think about it and come back. And then I've lost the sale, I've lost the person, you've gone on somewhere else, right? I'm going to be like, hey, Jay, we've come onto this call for a reason. What is it that you think you have to think about? And then walking through that process. And then like, because we have, let's say, a guarantee, and there's clear next steps that are risk-free for that person if they are a good fit to move forward. And then it's also a case of, if I love myself enough, I'll show up and I'll do the work for what's needed to be able to have these conversations. I think most of the time people are just making like sales so much harder than it needs to be at the end of the day. It's about, if the person doing the selling, number one, is sold on the mission of what the company is doing, and they know that what the company is doing, like the delivery on the other end, for example, is doing an amazing job at getting results. The sales rep is practically like, oi, Jay, dude, this stuff works really goddamn well. Like you'd be a nut not to join, with all seriousness, and here's why. Like there is just a level of authenticity and compassion that can then just naturally kind of like transmute in that conversation as well. But within saying that, there is the hard nuts, bolts, practical systems. So for example, with my sales team, I have a review process that they go through after every single call that they do. They will self-review themselves. I created an AI system to be able to help them go through a review process. So they're able to learn and improve after every single call. And at the end of every single day, there is a short report that they can put down being like, these are the calls that I had. This is what happened on those calls. This is what went well. This is what didn't go well. This is what I can learn from it. This is what I can do better next time. And so therefore I can create a flywheel effect of them getting better and better and better and better and better. And them coming to me on a weekly sales meeting, right? So we'll only have a 30-minute sales meeting every week. And they come to me on the call about, you know what? Damn it, I didn't say this thing. Like they're being proactive about it as well. So now it's like we are growing together and moving forward together rather than it kind of being like I need a whip to be able to whip these sales team members to be able to do what it is that they need to do. Because, and again, that's just not the vibe of what I wanted to create inside my company either.
Okay, I'm mind blown in a really good way, Chris. You are an absolute sales savage and genius because a lot of people will be like, here's the KPIs, here's your time commitment, here's the, the results that you're supposed to get, here's crack the whip. You haven't done this, you haven't done the number of outreaches, you haven't done the number of pickups and the book calls and the closes and the cash collected. So you have a different process, which seems opposite, where you're getting them to take ownership and responsibility of every sales call, reviewing that themselves, improving, every single day, coming to you for only 30 minutes. I have people that I've been on calls and sales teams as a ticket closer and a sales director, where we would have like daily, if not twice a day check-in, which is like, oh my gosh, this is way too much time, guys. You're doing once a week, 30-minute sales meeting where they're being proactive, coming to you after they reviewed every single call without needing a whip to crack, and them saying, this is what I learned, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, I call it self-parenting. They're able to parent themselves.
And
yes, I know it sounds great. And look, I 100% am open to someone like calling bullshit out on me and be like, you know what, you need to be doing daily sales huddles and all of this jam. And I'm like, okay, one, it's working right now, and we're growing quickly. Like all the KPIs are good. Like it's all like numbers are great. If someone was like, well, you could grow quicker, you could grow bigger because of this, I'm then also going to be like, well, to tell you the truth, I don't want to grow quicker and I don't want to grow bigger right now as well. I've got a good friend that he was someone that I looked up to for many, many years as like the number one person that I'd like ever want to connect with and just be able to like learn with. Derek Sivers is his name. Was an entrepreneur, now an author, just an incredible human being. And I've learned so much from him because he's able to look at life in just such a different perspective and truly get down to like what is going on. And so for me, we as a company, we intentionally limit how many clients we're going to take on per month because I don't want to work anymore, right? Like it's early morning for me having this. You can see like the sun's probably just starting to come up right now. Like I'll work in the morning. My typical work day will be between, let's say, like 7 to 11:30, 12 midday, right? I then go train, and then the rest of the afternoon is pretty much in like dad mode, and I'm able to like get some reading in. Do you mean like take the dog for a good walk in the afternoon, like all of that kind of stuff. And so for me, it's a case of I personally build a business to be able to fuel and fund the life that I want to have. So I want to be able to have the life that I want. I want my business to feel like I'm doing great work with great people, and it's being economically able to then continue to give me financial freedom and doing what it is that I want at the end of the day. And I learned that only because I effed it up, and I didn't do that. I had built businesses before. Like I had a business at one point at 3 million, and then I just burnt it to the ground because I was like, Slack is a piece of shit. I'm on too many meetings every single week. Do you know what I mean? I'm like not doing the work that I want. I'm not like it was like, this just feels so crappy. And again, like I've got this new partner, amazing dude, building his new business up right now. And it was so incredible because he was just like, for the last 2 years, I made good money, but I hated life.
Wow.
Hated life. And this is something that I've heard like dozens and dozens of times. Dozens and dozens of times. I've been doing on calls with business owners, and they're like, yeah, my business makes good money, but I just want to stick a fork in my eye. And that's why as well, I've had this disenchantment with people that'll be like showing Stripe screenshots and like all these big numbers and everything like that. And I just don't care for it anymore, because that is one slice of a pie that does not give you the full picture of what's going on. And so, yeah, and that's the thing as well. It's interesting because I lost this comparison and this envy to these other people that were doing so good in business. And now I'm just rooting for everyone. I'm cheering for everyone to win as well. But when I see someone doing like really good numbers or whatever it is, I'm like, that's fantastic. But also I know that it's just a slice of the pie. Like, I've come into a 9-figure business. Their profit margins were so shit. Like, I was making more profit in a much, 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 much smaller business. Like, I was walking away on a monthly basis with more money in my back pocket. And it's just like, okay, like, fellas, and this is the problem with social media and stuff like that, and why I kind of like a part of my message is like, hey, let's just like, you do you, right? Don't worry about and get caught up with what other people are doing. Use them to be able to learn and to be able to navigate effectively and smartly. But don't be like, oh, crap, that person's doing really well, and therefore I need to do that thing, because then you start to fall into like mimetic desire where you're now wanting things and doing things that aren't in alignment with you. And then that's when the wheels start to fall off, because if you're not doing what's actually best aligned for you and what it is that how you best serve and what your best model is and your economic engine, you're literally going to build yourself a prison.
Wow. I'm just kind of marinating in what you just said, because I know there's a lot of depth into that lesson. Just to respect your time, and I'd love to have a part 2 if your time and your time zone allows.
Oh, good, right? That's good fun.
There's so much here. I want to go into the lightning round, and just ask you a couple of rapid fire questions, and just what comes at the top of your mind when I ask these questions. And then we're going to give people access to the free Rainmakers training, and we'll share what that looks like. So, you said most successful people may not look like that in real life. And there are a lot of failures behind those closed doors. What does that look like for some of the, you don't have to name names and companies, but like, what are they dealing with? That's like, I know profit margins is one of them, where you made more profit than them as a smaller business. But what does failure look like behind these quote unquote successful businesses and people?
So one, is the person actually walking away with the money for them to do what it is that they want to do at the end of the day? So let's maybe call that just profit. Mm-hmm. 2, peace. Does the person actually have a certain level of peace within themselves and how everything's running as well? 3, it's the difference between a pirate ship and the Navy. I see a lot of people running their businesses like a pirate ship, and it's just like people are running around everywhere, just like not knowing what's going on, where I know, and this is the way I'm kind of built. I'm very much more like the Navy. Like, we have SOPs and procedures and systems, and it is like doing like it is systemized because I want that level of safety and security built in and being able to replicate results also. Mojo is like, is the person waking up, kicking their legs out of bed, and they've got mojo for their business and mojo for their life, and like being able to show up for the rest. Like, the people that I look up to, the people that I admire, they have this certain sense where they are just enjoying life, right? Like, they're good at business. They're sharp in their game. There is a certain sense of they can roll with the punches with it as well. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and that's okay with all of them. And then they also just show up and they're just kind people. Like, they're just enjoying themselves. They're like, there's a sense of enjoyment in life as well. I think there's just way too many people, and this could have been my previous self just projecting right now, but it's just a case of like, they're so in the weeds of their business and stressed about everything, and their identity is so wrapped up with the success of their business.
So true. Eh?
And that is a very, very slippery slope to be able to be on, because again, one of my other partners, he was just saying this to me like 2 days ago, and he was like, my entire identity was like, I'm really good at business, right?
Mm.
And so when that started to slide, which it always will, right? The game of business is pretty close to snakes and ladders, because sometimes you just roll and you hit a snake and you slide backwards. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not you. It's not you being bad. You're not a bad person. Like, it's just, it is what it is, and that's okay. Like, you've got a lesson that you need to learn and be able to evolve and move through. So there's like peace, there's profits, there's mojo with it. There's a sense of like how everyone operates inside of the business as well. Like, do you know, I've come through some businesses and it is a shit show in the back end. Actually, I went like, there's a couple of team members that I have, because after working businesses, they've just kind of like sent me messages after and be like, hey, I really want to work for you.
Wow.
And I think it's a huge compliment to be like, oh, like, thank you so much. Like, they enjoy that. Actually, I literally just got hit up from someone else.
Huge compliment for you.
In a sales position, actually, really funny. That said the exact same thing. And so, I think it's not necessarily, hey, all of these people. This was not a lightning quick question. All these people have, let's say, there's things that are going wrong. That's okay. They're still really good people, right? What do I do? How do I show up? And how do I learn from everything? Because me being able to learn from other people's mistakes means I can learn a hell of a lot quicker and then with a hell of a lot less scars if I have to just like eat punches every single day to then finally learn a lesson.
Wow. Incredible. So let me just share the screen, and I'm going to ask you to explain what this free resource is. I'll just put it up on the screen. What is this that they're getting with the free Rainmakers training?
Okay, amazing. That's funny because that page isn't even loading properly as well.
That's
all good. The page the link off to be able to have the training that were put together essentially is what happened was I got asked so many times, well, what is it that you actually do? Because I don't disclose who our partners and clients are for privacy reasons, but also for competitive advantage reasons as well, because I want them to have market competitive advantage. And so anyway, I kind of just broke it down. I'm like, look, to be perfectly honest, what's working today, Jay, is not what was working last year, and especially the year before and before that. Yeah. And so that's where it's a case of like, yeah, the game has changed especially, but it's actually simpler in a realm of like, what are the pieces of the puzzle that have to be put together for someone to have a reliable process to get leads, make sales, and build their business. And so anyway, essentially what I did one day is I just cracked the shits and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to record a training showing what it is that we actually do, and that's what it is. Incredible. And I love that you are that Navy guy with the systems and the SOPs. I can see that from your incredible diagrams. And probably the best part of it is this picture is going to be the best way to end off, because that's the why, right? And the mission, the purpose all revolves around what you're doing and how you're impacting lives with your beautiful family, your wife and 4 girls. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time and your expertise, and for, really enlightening, the audience here who are listening to how they can grow and scale their business. If you guys want to learn more, you can connect with Chris Dufey on Instagram.com/Chris Dufey. One last question before I dismiss you is just like, what is sell more to give more? Because I'm, on this mission to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so they can sell more to give more. What does sell more to give more mean to you? We work on ourselves so we can help the people around us. The ultimate, not meaning of life, but what we're here to do, I think at the end of the day, is to leave the world in a better place than the way that we found it. And that is ultimately done where at first I need to be able to build my cup and fill my cup up so that I'm best able to serve others moving forward. So I want to be able to sell more because the thing that I have created creates so much more value for people than what they're parting their money with. And I'm able to then use that to be able to then give, because my cup is so overflowing that I can help in any way, shape or form through the resources that I've been able to bring about.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you guys for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. That brings us to the end, and hopefully another part 2. If you guys are interested in hearing more, comment in the show notes. Now go apply what you learned from Chris Dufey, and you guys can get the free Rainmaker training as well at jointherainmakers.com /demo. If you're ready to master faith-driven sales psychology and close high-ticket deals with integrity, head over to gosalesninja.com and join the free training. And we are here to help you to sell with confidence and serve from a place of purpose. A lot of the stuff that Chris was sharing throughout this entire podcast. Remember, your work is stewardship. Chris said, sales is love. I love that. Keep your eyes on God. Stay faithful in the small steps. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you again so much, Chris. And we want to help you guys to sell more, to give more.
Yeah.